After a year of him badgering me, I gave in. Parked on a dark country road in my mom's 1959 Dodge with a push-button transmission and a back seat as big as a double bed, I had sex with my boyfriend. He was happy. Me, not so much. I wasn't going to do it again. What I didn't know is that I had gotten pregnant. Yeah. With twins. It was 1960 and I was 16. You're so easy. 6.5 months later, I gave birth to 2 little boys. Only one survived. But he spent the next 3 months in a preemie bin, struggling to live alone, while I watched him through a murky plate glass window, because they never allowed me to touch him. When I finally got him out of there, I thought, I'm never going to let this kid get away from me again. A few months later, when he was 10 months old, through a routine visit with the pediatrician, he said, this kid has cerebral palsy. He'll never walk or probably won't talk. I don't know how, I'll give you, you're young, you can have more children. I'll give you the name of a place where you can take him, where he'll be with others of his kind. And I was stunned. I said, his kind? I'm his mom. I'm his kind. He's going home with me. And Kirk just grew. He was a beautiful, beautiful baby with these great big green, blue, just hazel kind of almond-shaped eyes and him, possibly long eyelashes and a big smile. And he grew into this gregarious, confident kid that just everybody was attracted to. On his first day of school, I think he was 7 years old, and he was in a little wheelchair, and I pushed him down the hallway, and he goes, "Hi, I Kirk. Hi, I Kirk," like he was running for office. And he loved to swim. Oh no, before that, he lost his first tooth. And I said, oh, what will happen is that the fairy we'll put the tooth under the pillow and the fairy will come at night and exchange it for money. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And he said, no, mine bring pie. Pie? The tooth fairy doesn't have pie. The tooth fairy has money. He said, mine bring pie. And I said, what kind of pie? And he said, chocolate. And I thought, on the following morning, the tooth fairy from the local bakery had delivered a chocolate pie. And Kirk loved to swim, loved the water. And so I would put the little Mae West out thingy on him, the vest, and I would jam him into a tractor trailer inner tube and tie a rope on it. And I was a single mother, a teenage mother. Think about that. And I would drop him into any body of water, and he could paddle around and I could pull him in with a rope. Listen, Nothing happened to him, for God's sakes. And and so one time we were on a little lake in my friend's ski boat, and he was watching us. They're just two women and him, and girls, teenagers. And and finally he just had enough of it, and he said, "I want to ski." And we looked at each other and said, "Why not?" So we dropped him over the back of the boat, and Janie's driving, and she drove along real slow, and he's having a really good time and laughing, and then she revved it up, and he's just like, boom, 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 and just having a great time. We got back to the beach, and this, I don't know, big old punchy, red-faced guy stomped over there to us and said, "I saw you out there with that baby, just pulling it along. You endangered his life, and I should have the authorities come and take him away from you." And I said, "Fuck you." We're just having fun. And Kirk said, "Yeah, and you're no fun at all." Well, Kirk grew into a young man. When he was 22 years old, I moved him into a group home close by where we lived in California, and he met a bunch, 5 or 6 guys that had different varying disabilities, and they would spend their time just talking and hanging out, and most of the conversation was about girls and how to meet them and about sex, because they were young men. And I would come and visit, and they would have come up with these schemes for me to get involved in. And I said, no, not at all. I am not, no. And I would leave and go home and forget about it. And that year, about a couple months before Christmas, I called Kirk and I said, "Hey, your sisters and I are wondering, Christmas is coming up, and we're wondering if there's anything special that you would like to have for Christmas." And he said, "I want to have sex." I said, "Sex? Sex is not a Christmas present." Videos and stinky cologne and sweaters and shit you don't need. That's Christmas. Sex, I can't, it's illegal. I can't buy it. I could go to jail. You could get a disease. It's not a good idea, Kirk. No. And when I finished ranting, I said, "You know what? I don't even know where I would look for it. I have no idea about this, Kirk." And he said, "You could find it, Mama." So I talked to my friends. My friend Janie, who was a bartender, put a big pickle jar on the bar that said, "Get Kirk Sex Fund." I gotta tell you, that jar filled with paper money so fast you wouldn't believe it, because that is a cause that men believe in. I looked everywhere. I started, I could have gotten picked up, because I looked at all of the women, everybody at any bus stop, any place, trying, and I thought, no. Nobody knew anybody. Nobody knew. I didn't know how to do this. And And finally, I remembered that I had a friend named Bill, and he was a manager of the Onslow Hotel in Reno, Nevada. Yeah. So I called him and told him what Kirk wanted for Christmas, and he said, hell yeah, bring him up here. He said, I'll take him to the Mustang Ranch. The Mustang Ranch, by the way, is the oldest brothel in the United States of America. In Reno, in Sparks, Nevada, it is known for, it's just a good run place from what I hear. Yeah. Treats its employees fairly, they make a lot of money. And he said, and as a matter of fact, bring the whole family. I'll give you family rates at the hotel, and we'll have Christmas dinner at my place. I said, okay. So I tell Kirk. He's excited. He can't stand it. I said, now we got to call my mother, because my mother lived in Pennsylvania and spent Christmas, holiday with us. And she's a little old-fashioned, kind of. And I didn't know how this would go over. And so I said, Kirk, you tell her. And so as soon as she answered the phone, he said, Grandma, you got to come to Reno for Christmas. And she said, oh, Reno. Why, honey? Are we going to Reno? And he said, because I'm going to have sex, Grandma. And there was a silence, and I thought, shit, she's fainted. No, but she didn't. She rallied. She said, isn't that nice? How much does it cost? And I said, I don't know, Ma. They don't give quotes over the phone. So she said, well, put me down for 50. To love my mother. So on Christmas Eve day, FYI, the Mustang Ranch is closed on Christmas Day, in case you need to know. But on Christmas Eve day, we were at the hotel. His sisters got him all bathed and primped and powdered up like he was like a bride. And we drove over to Bill's. My mother goes into the kitchen to start the turkey and stuff and Bill and Kirk go heading out to the Mustang Ranch. In about an hour and a half, I don't know, I wasn't counting, but not too long. And I hear them outside coming up laughing. And Kirk, when he left, his muscles were so tight and he was so nervous and full of anxiety and scared. And now when I open the door, he's just like laying in his wheelchair looking like Gumby with this big smile on his face. And I said, wow, back already? And he goes, she was real nervous. And so I just laughed and gave him this great big hug. And I said, hey guys, everybody, I have a bottle of champagne. I think we should have a Christmas toast to the Christmas spirit, to family, to friends, to giving and receiving. Thank you.